Rishabh Pant at 6, overseas conditions, slots in, does well, no questions asked. But in India, his keeping comes under scrutiny, especially with the turning ball, because he misses. He can't keep as well as Wriddhiman Saha, who's by far India's best wicket keeper, just solely wicket keeping. And I don't think there can be any doubt in that. But the fact that he had that game-changing series in Australia and his confidence must be at an all-time high. Do you keep him first batting in the squad, or would you play Wriddhiman Saha as wicket-keeper? Because in India, it's very important to keep well.
It's an age-old debate, isn't it, in Test cricket? And people talk about this as going back to Adam Gilchrist. It goes way back before then. I've been doing some research about this. England were trying to work out whether to pick the quote-unquote best keeper or regardless of batting, through the 90s with Jack Russell and Alex Stewart, through the 70s to a lesser extent with Alan Knott and Bob Taylor. It goes way back to the 30s. Other teams have had to make this calculation. It turns out it's very difficult to make that calculation. I've asked stats people to try and work out whether that calculus, and it's actually quite difficult to work out. It's very messy. Rishabh Pant is a match winner with the bat. Wriddhiman Saha, by his own admission, is not, and is never going to be. He is a world-class wicketkeeper, very possibly the very best pure wicketkeeper in world cricket. Having said, although we will see Ben Foakes come in for the second, third, and fourth test, and he's a wonderful wicketkeeper up to the stumps as well. But Rishabh Pant's ability to change a game, to win you a game, just frankly, forget all the stylistic things, to score runs heavily and score runs quickly as well. It's not easy to do both of those things at the same time, but he's done it. I remember he had a Ranji Trophy season a few years ago where he averaged over 100 and had a strike rate of over 100.
Yeah, he's the kind of guy who can get 100 in a session and you wouldn't even realize he's got 100. He can.
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. And
bowlers, can't he?
Yes, he can. No one. India have fallen into this trap before with Rishabh Pant of picking a team that's based on what happens if the top order fails. I think they did it in the World Cup to some extent, certainly for the first part of that World Cup. But equally, you pick that. You have a very strong top five, and then you have a batter who is capable of being in that number 6 position, regardless of whether or not he's keeping, and can score runs very, very quickly. And also he can adapt his game. Like we saw that the first part of that Brisbane innings. He picked his moment to attack. For sure. He's not this mindless hitter that people think he is. He's a quality player. I don't think there is a debate anymore. I probably would have leaned towards Rishabh Pant anyway. Mm-hmm. But I don't think there's a debate anymore after those Sydney and Brisbane innings.
So in 2018-19, of course, after the Australia series, he did well there as well. And I think he got 100 in England in 2018 as well. At the time, everyone thought, okay, now this is Rishabh Pant's moment. He's got this. But obviously the team management didn't deal with him really well. It was always mixed signals between him and Saha, and sometimes Saha would be picked, sometimes Pant would be picked, which really affected his confidence. And I was watching an ESPN Cricket Info documentary which spoke about how it can affected his confidence to a point where people would have to come out publicly and defend Rishabh Pant, including Rohit Sharma, Virat Kohli, even Pujara has done it in the past. But this time, how important is it from the team management's perspective to let him ride this high and not drop him? Because it's difficult for a player to get mixed signals, especially when you're on top of your game.
Yeah, I think India have not managed Rishabh Pant that well. I think India almost don't realise what they have with Rishabh Pant, which is a match winner. They have a wonderful, wonderful player who can do things that other players cannot do. And players like that, there's never been any suggestion that Rishabh Pant is a bad trainer, that he's a bad teammate, that he's not receptive to advice. Mel Farrell, a freelance journalist, just wrote a piece for The Cricketer talking about during a tour game where he wasn't playing, Rishabh Pant was just doing a lot of extra fitness work without being told to. Just he said, "Hey, I need it," He probably doesn't, but you know, he keeps those high standards. His wicket keeping is a work in progress, and I think it's got a bit better against spin.
More behind the scenes.
Yeah, and wicket keeping is one of those skills. We've seen this with Joss Buttler, who had a very good series in Sri Lanka. We've seen this with Matt Pryor, Mahendra Singh Dhoni to some extent.
He has his own.
Yeah, but it was something he worked on. Wicket keeping is one of the very few skills in cricket that you can get better at just by pure repetition, and isn't reliant on other factors so much. He's a decent keeper. You know, he's borderline probably in terms of, you know, against a quote unquote mythical average keeper. He can make himself a better keeper than he is, and that journey is already starting. I think India have managed him very badly in public. I think its continued omission from the white ball teams is confusing to me. I think the reasons behind it don't make much sense. And it was kind of, even in this last IPL season, it looked as though he was trying to bat like someone else, and it didn't suit him. I hope, and you can never quite know, but I hope that there has been a change in how India are going to manage him, and just let him be, and let him bat, and not treat him like, not fall into that trap of treating him as, you know, every time he gets out it's wasted talent, or every time he plays an attacking shot that doesn't work out well. What are you doing? You're whatever. You know, manage him like you would any other talented player to some extent, and give them a chance to show what they're good at.